Hello, welcome to the Pretty Huge Dilemma podcast. I am your host, Jacob Barrett. This week, not too much happening, not too much going on. Pretty relaxed week from coming back from St. Louis, just getting everything back in order, back to work, back to watching basketball games, watching Florida make it to the Final Four. Florida, go Gators. And they play tomorrow, and hopefully on Monday. So by the time this comes out, hopefully Florida has won the national championship already, which would be nice to add. Hopefully Duke doesn't, but since the one and done has started, they've become less difficult to dislike and root against because they're not there long enough to be angry about, but still know all their fans, all their former players still don't want them to win the championship. But that's been mainly what's going on. This week went to a Brazilian steakhouse, which there are some areas for improvement, but I think they're very good. I don't know when I'll be going back to another one, but probably will be. So I went to one maybe it was just a year ago. A year ago in the area, it was good. Had the salad station bar, had all the meats. Then wanted to go to another one recently, but it was hard to decide because there are multiple ones in the area, and I knew that no matter what, the one I choose will be compared to the previous ones. So if it was better, if it was worse, no matter if it was better or worse, just in general, everything. The meats they had, the salad they had, the charcuterie, meats and cheeses, the bread, all that would just be compared back to the other one. So that kind of made the decision a little more difficult to do because I didn't want to go to a place and then have regret about wanting to go to the other place instead because I liked something there better. So it made it slightly difficult. But going to Brazilian steakhouse, at first you're getting some of the meats, you can taste the difference for it, but then after a while, a couple times of people coming past, it's hard to tell what meat is which I kind of have that difficulty anyway, of the different cuts of steak, like ribeye, tomahawk, sirloin, New York strip. I can't tell too much the difference. I know there's a difference of the fat content, how they're cooked, but if they're cooked like all the same temperature, same seasonings, I am not too good at telling what the difference is between them. But Brazilian steakhouse, there are a lot of different kinds of red meats there, and after a while, they all start tasting the same. Whatever fillet you get, I forget what the specialty at Brazilian steakhouse is, but there's some Brazilian specialty there. The chicken, always pass on chicken because I got chicken at home that I cook anyway, so I don't need your version of it. Yeah, it might be better, not as dry, but that's okay. It's not that high above where I can just have it at home. But one thing that is lacking at Brazilian restaurants is their sauces. They have to step up the sauce game there. Because going there, like I said, after a while, all the different forms of red meats are tasting the same. You gotta have some kind of sauce that you offer that sets it apart. So after a while, once I needed something different, different kind of taste, after going through their salad bar, I think it's called a salad bar, but they're different like accoutrements. Is that it, or is that a French word? But whatever their side, their complimentary things their main courses are. I need something different. This place had 4 different sauces. There was a hot sauce, which that's become a thing that's come up a couple times, is wanting to get the hot sauce places, because I should have gotten it there, even just to try it. Should have had, then they had some mint sauce, which whenever you bring up something mint, people always say, oh, mint, that tastes like toothpaste. Like, other things can taste like that. Doesn't make it bad. If you don't like brushing your teeth, maybe that's an issue, but that's a different thing. For brushing your teeth, I don't know how adults just deal with having gaps in their teeth and dealing with that in their lives. Because if I was missing a tooth, I would be messing with that the entire time, worrying about if something worse is going to happen. Is this tooth going to move? Is the other stuff going to start to decay? Then there are people who are just missing multiple teeth. They're like, oh, they're in the back. They're not needed. I have my front ones. My front ones can't chew through anything. So I don't know how people have that. So maybe they wouldn't like the mint taste because they don't like brushing their teeth. But it was fine. It was kind of like a jelly type thing. It was a little... this is a difficult thing. This is a little more viscous because it was more resistant to flow. So it wasn't as liquidy. Yeah, that. Then they had a chimichurri. I don't know what chimichurri is, but they had that. It looked like tomatoes, kind of looked like pico de gallo. And then they had the best one that I liked was the salsa verde sauce they had. That was the best one. It was, I don't know, not really too spicy, but it was something different. Which I think why I was confused why they had salsa verde sauce, because that's a Mexican thing. Which has something that people commonly mix up, is they think that Brazilians speak Spanish, but they don't. So I remember in my high school Spanish class, we had to bring in current events of things, and we had to bring up something that's going on in a Spanish-speaking country. So you look up things that are going on in Argentina, in Spain, in Mexico, things like that. Then someone brought in a story about what was going on in Brazil. So we went through a story, and the teacher's like, what country was that? And he's like, oh, Brazil. And she goes, I'm sorry, that they speak Portuguese. So I think he got like half credit for it. That was kind of funny to see that. And it's kind of surprising. I don't know how many places speak Portuguese outside of Portugal, but that's okay. So I think that gets mixed up. So I don't know why they were serving like salsa verde sauce. Like, isn't there some Brazilian type sauces they have there? America, we have ranch, which all these are American. Ranch, barbecue, ketchup, mustard, so many sauces. But Brazil, what specific sauces are you giving me to go with all these meats that you're serving? It was good. Definitely had to fall asleep after. But sauces, those can be improved definitely at the steakhouses. Definitely went to sleep right after. And their desserts, there didn't seem to be any Brazilian specific desserts there. They had like cheesecake, tres leches. And I was like, again, that's not, maybe they serve in Brazil, but I was like, isn't that like a Mexico, like Spanish speaking place? Tres leches is Spanish. Why are you serving that? I didn't see any Portuguese words on their menus, which living in Texas, they can probably get away with that. They don't need to make a bunch of Portuguese, make it more confusing for everyone. So they just make it that way. Next one I go to, I think, I don't know if it'll be Benihana. No, not Benihana. What's the name? Because there's a chain of them. What's the name of it? Benihana is the one where they cook in front of you. I forget the name of it. But didn't go there this time because there was a chain. What's the name of it? Oh, well. I'll remember that later. But I didn't want to go there because they would serve... You could order just steaks there instead of getting the unlimited portion of it, which I didn't want to do that because that kind of... I don't know if it takes away, but it makes me think that they aren't focusing as much on the unlimited meats and trying to upsell, trying to push people towards these individual servings, which maybe makes sense because those steaks cost more and they might make more money from it. But I didn't want to go there because it sounded like just focus on the unlimited, make those meats good, figure out the rest later for it. Okay, so that then the house process haven't done too much more. Oh, I'm in a new chair, so if I'm swiveling back and forth, that's why. House process, haven't done too much this week. Met with a different lender just because real estate agents wanted me to. Like, why don't you talk to this lender? You've worked with him before. He might give you other ideas of things to do. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's just a lender. It's not costing me anything. I'm probably going to use my lender. He'll say some things that I've read about before. Okay, fine. then he suggested to me to get a 30-year mortgage, which if I have one more person try to talk me into getting a 30-year mortgage, I'm going to flip out, get more upset, continue to shake my head and be like, I'm not having this conversation again for the 100th time with another person. Because especially after I tell them, oh, I'm doing this 15-year fixed rate mortgage. And they go, oh, have you thought about doing this? Obviously, I'm not going into this without doing my research on it. I've thought about it. So I'm going to do it this way. Yeah, it could be more difficult. Might not be able to get as expensive of a house. That's fine. But doing it that way, lender tried to talk to me about all these different ways to do it, all the different options, buying points, getting a credit score. Don't have a credit score. Don't want to get a credit score. He said you could get a credit card. You just pay things you already pay. Pay your rent on it. Pay your utilities. That's it. You'll get a good credit score. Pay it automatically. No issues there. Well, I'm not doing that. So whatever results from that, it's fine. However much the interest rate might be more, that's fine. Because the money I save not having a credit card, not overspending like that, I'll just go on this. Because everyone likes to say, get a 30-year, then you can just pay more on it, pay double the payments. So then you can pay it off in 15 years. But then they go, or if something happens and you can't afford the 15-year to pay like that, you can just pay the lower amount for the 30-year. Well, those go against each other. So they don't go together. And the reason that I've decided this way is because we use the Ramsey method to, for our financial plans and ideas. Mostly, I think we follow it pretty closely. So we follow that, and the real estate agent we have is Ramsey endorsed, so they know about the plan of it, so I don't know why they're suggesting me to do otherwise. Then the lender they had me talk to has worked with other Ramsey people. He's led the course, he's gone through the class. Then why are you suggesting me do something different than what's taught in that course and what his total financial plan says? Yeah, we're trying to save up. We're trying to put between 5 and 20% down on a house, trying to do 15 years where the payment's no more than 25% of our take-home pay. Why are you trying to have us do differently than that? I don't understand it. And I've had that experience before with other endorsed local providers where they don't really follow the method, the plans, the steps that he lays out. They just kind of use it as marketing because they know people trust Dave Ramsey and people where he endorses, which he endorses them. They say they vet them. I guess they just go to meetings and pay money to be called Ramsey endorsed for it. But it was kind of frustrating that. And money part, I don't know. Dave Ramsey owns hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate. I think the way he suggested the fine plan, if it slows us down a little bit, maybe that's for the better. Because maybe then we won't rush into something. We won't overlook something. If a house is more than we can afford, that's okay. There are a lot of houses out there, and not too worried about it. So then the lender went back to us and asked, how long have you been renting for? 3 years. Oh, you pay this much in rent, so you could have had $60,000 in equity by now, but instead you're giving that to the apartment people. Well, when we moved here, we weren't ready to own a house. We had a lot of other things going on. We didn't know about the area where we wanted to live. So that's okay. We've waited out. I don't consider that money lost. Apartment's been fine. We've learned things, been able to go to different areas. And it's fine. We won't have issues in the long term. We'll save up more. And it won't be an issue for that. One idea I had for a podcast, back to the business idea portion of the show, which this is a different podcast idea. It's not for me. I won't be doing it. But so similar to the Ramsey show where they take in callers, they have these 7 steps of doing these things. what if someone did that on, instead of doing it for money, doing it for health? Which, for health, you say, do these certain steps. If you're having this issue, which, okay, now that I'm thinking it out, I think, well, this would be in podcast form, so people can call in. I don't know if doctors would be held liable for the advice they give for it. They could always use the caveat of, I don't know all your symptoms, don't know all your medical history, all of what's happened in the past. This is just from what you've told me. But if you went in there and just gave people these couple steps of, oh, you're unhealthy, which, yeah, you're the most unhealthy. This is how you start. You do this walking, you do this, you start eating like this. But now I'm thinking it out, which this is an idea I had, I think, like started a couple of years ago. But maybe just people being able to call in and ask about specifically their health issues in their instances. I think that would be pretty cool to see. I know there are some health podcasts like Peter Attia's where they have, and Andrew Huberman has it, where they have an Ask Me Anything, but that's not live to tape. On their AMAs, you sometimes have them behind these paywalls, which I guess they're doing that because they make more from having their Patreon subscription thing than they are from their advertisers. Because I don't know if people care too much about ads being on podcasts, because it's pretty easy to skip through. You just hit the skip forward 15 seconds, you just do that. It's not too difficult. But they say, oh, we want to have this ad free for everyone, not jumbled up with all these other issues. Well, I'm pretty sure it's because you're making more money from these subscriptions than you are for the ads. But for theirs, because they also go on live sometimes and people just ask them questions. Well, what if you had this in a podcast where it's longer form, not longer form, but you could talk to them for like 10 minutes, get more of a background, more of a history. You might be able to give them more ideas, which that might be more personalized than the Ramsey steps are, because the Ramsey steps are pretty broad based. You do this, you do this, you do these together. Anyone can apply them. The health one, that might be more difficult because that is kind of more specific to a person. But then the other thing that I thought of while talking about this is there are so many protocols out there. Every person has a protocol for whatever. It's protocols and standards. Oh, you should be able to do this many pull-ups at this age. You should be able to grip hang by this. Which Peter T talks about that in Outlive, where there's some curve of what your grip strength is versus longevity. But other people have argued, well, grip strength is just overall strength. And if you're just strong, your grip strength is going to be stronger as a result of that. So you don't need to train specifically. You just need to be strong. Another one say you should be able to run this fast a mile. You should be able to sprint for this long. There are so many protocols out there, and it's hard to tell which ones to go through. Ben Patrick for HEG, he has some protocols. Do I follow all those? Who else is giving protocols or standards? I mean, Andrew Human, he gives out protocols, but not standards of things. Who else gives out standards to me? But sometimes standards are helpful, but again, you have to decide which person's standards you're going to follow, because you can't do all of them. A person who has bodybuilding standards or weightlifting standards might be more than another person's. Okay. So that's a different podcast idea. But for those health things, I just thought of it. It was transitioning to something else. What was I transitioning to? Talking about those health casts, those podcasts, those whatever. What is it? I completely lost. I had the back of my head that I was going to say it, then I said a different sentence. Oh well, that's fine. Before, Ben Patrick, been trying to get my knee pain not into a reasonable amount of pain. I don't think right now it's too bad, but recently I did some sprints, did the Norwegian 4x4 of sprinting for 4 minutes, resting for 3 minutes, sprinting 4 minutes, and did that, I think, 4 times, because that's supposed to help the VO2 max the best, according to, well, I don't know the best, but it's a good method that Rhonda Patrick's been and advocating for. Did that. Then I started getting knee pain, which hasn't been new because that came up when I started marathon training and running for longer periods of time. But taking, I don't know how many weeks I'll go, but I've been trying to do more backwards walking, more of the stretches and exercises that Patrick has suggested for the knee pain, which, yeah, it's been a lot of backwards treadmill. I think when I get a house, the first piece of equipment that I want to get is a backwards treadmill, one that you can go backwards on. So you can go backwards on it or you can sprint forward on it. Ben Patrick's is $600, I think, for non-members of his app. So I think that might be one of the first ones. But I've also seen other setups where it has the treadmill and has a bunch of other things attached to it, which I don't know if I want those other attachments to begin with. I kind of just like want a treadmill and build the other pieces on my own and figure out who's the best quality and might fit in. I understand getting all those things together and kind of packs it together all in one, but I kind of just want to pick the pieces out for it. So I think that might be the first thing I get because it doesn't take up too much space, and see if that helps with knee pain. But also that kind of puts it off a couple months of fixing the problem. Right now it's been doing more backwards sled walking, and I don't know, limited by the length of space for that. So it's been a longer journey. We'll see how that goes. I'll keep you updated on it, but haven't done as much sprinting, done some elliptical work, rowing, not all out sprinting yet, or longer runs. We'll see how that goes on the health journey. But when I'm out walking, doing stuff like that, on these paths, on these trails, I don't know if I'm supposed to double wave to someone. So yeah, not the two-handed wave, not that. It's when I say double wave, it's because I said before, I like going out on a path, turning around, coming back that same way. When that happens, sometimes you pass people multiple times. In those multiple times, the first time I usually just wave, nod my head, sunglasses, they don't know where I'm looking at, so that's helpful. They don't know if I'm staring back and forth at them, stuff like that. But wave first time, I think that's the Iowa, the Midwest part in me, wave at them. Because I also do that when going through crosswalks, and if there are cars, I do a quick wave. I don't look back to see if they wave to me. I don't care too much about that, just make them feel better, not freak out and hit me. But when I walk out, wave, acknowledge them. When I turn around, then sometimes they've turned around as well. Do I wave back at them? I don't get somewhat nervous, anxious about how to respond back to them. Do I wave again? What I've been doing is just giving a head nod for the second time that I go past them. Because wave, that's a lot. Sometimes if they're runners, I give them a thumbs up. I don't know why. One time someone ran past me and he gave me a thumbs up. And I was like, wow, that makes me feel better than just a wave. So I'm going to do that to this person. But I don't know. Do I double wave twice? Wave once and then back again? Wait, wave again? Maybe that'd be, I don't know, nice courteous thing to do. But I think one wave's enough. And then, so the second time I go past them, I either just do the head nod down, not up. Up would be crazy to do to a stranger. But just do it down, or I just ignore them completely because I've already acknowledged you once. That's okay. I was nice the first time. The second time, I still know you're there. I'm still aware of my surroundings. I have my head on a swivel. Like when I went on a St. Louis Metro ride, I was looking around, turning around. At almost every stop, it would stop. I would kind of turn like that, like I'm looking out the window, turn the other way, pretend to look out the window. But yeah, I'm looking. I'm prepared for what could be coming out of these bushes that is in the middle of a metro area. I'm prepared for it. But on those walks in our area, there are some, obviously, there are places to eat. You have to be living in the middle of nowhere for there not to be places to eat. But there are places to eat. There are a bunch of places people like to go to. Me, I don't know. Some of the brunch places, they're not even, I wouldn't call them high class, but they try to be. They try to serve smaller, cuter portions, farm to table type things, I'm okay. Just give me the big portions, the biggest ones. Not the healthiest for me. That's okay. I'm not going out to this brunch spot to be the healthiest place for me. Some of these brunch spots, they need to improve their waiting areas for their restaurants. Because I walk past them and there's people waiting outside, looking at their phones, waiting to be called in. There's no inside waiting area for them to be at, so they just have to wait outside. Which in the weather where it's nice to be outside, stay outside, okay, great, that's fine. But when it starts to be 100 degrees, you can't have people waiting outside. You gotta create a bigger waiting room, which that'll take up some of the restaurant space, or just get more creative on how to make it. Because if you just have seats for where two families could sit on it, that's not enough. If you're a popular place, that's not enough space. You'll need space outside. I guess that might be, no, it's not even advertising. It's that free advertising that it shows that it's somewhat of a busy spot and people go there, want to eat there. But if I'm driving past the place and I see people staying waiting outside, I'm not going to think to myself, I should go in there. That looks like a good spot. People are waiting outside for a reason. I'm going to say, I can't believe those people are waiting outside and sweating so much just to sit inside next to these people where you don't even get your own table. You're just all on farmhouse seating. I think that's what it is. Where you're sitting face to face with the people you came with. Then right next to you is strangers listening on your conversations. I'm not doing that. Because if you're in just, a strip mall really doesn't work that well. I guess it works better than if you're a standalone. Because if you're a standalone, you just have people waiting outside. Then there's nothing else for them to do. That's tough for them to wait out there. But if you're in a mall area, you're not worried about waiting around. Because you gave them your phone number, which some places you give them your phone number and you're not sure if it's the right phone number because they don't text you saying, we have your information, thanks for waiting in line, this is the link to follow. So sometimes I'm sitting there stressed of, did I give them the right phone number? Am I ever going to be called? I don't know what position we are. They might have completely forgotten that we're here. That hostess doesn't care if we ever get seated or how long we wait for. She's just going to say, I looked at the form we have, the electronic form we have the wrong phone number, you're out. And if you're waiting outside, they're not going to come outside saying, Jacob, party of whatever. They're going to say, Jacob, not here, skip, wrong phone number, next person. But if you're in a mall, not that hard to wait around. Strip mall, a lot of places aren't open when people are going on Friday or Saturday mornings. They're probably open, but Sunday mornings, some of those places aren't even open. So they're just waiting outside doing nothing. But yeah, so they need to improve those areas for them. Okay, what time am I at? Okay, this one, I'll make this a shorter episode, depending on how long these next couple topics go. Which next topics to start off with the book topic, books. Last week, I think it was last week, I felt guilty for having a late fee on a book. So it came to the day of renewing the book. It was overdue by a day, so I went online, tried to renew it, couldn't renew it. Like, this system's messed up. What is going on with it? Why can I not do this? Called the library. They were probably surprised to get a call, because who calls the library? Ask them, why can't I renew this book? What's happening? What's wrong with your system? She told me someone has a hold on it. That's why you can't renew it. And once they said that, I started feeling guilty. I thought to myself, man, I can't believe I'm stopping someone else from reading. Because I don't want to be the reason someone doesn't read. Which, yeah, there are other books, other things they could read. But if someone's set on reading this book, they put in enough work to put a hold on it, then I should probably return the book on time. I should have renewed it right when they sent me an email. Because they send emails out saying your book's going to be due in a couple days. I should just renew it then. Because you get 5 renewals. So if you renew it a couple days early, 5 times, that's still like months of having the book. But I don't know, kind of felt guilty doing that. I don't know if I got a late fee charge. Maybe I did. But the book was How Big Things Get Done. Talked a little bit about it. These guys have mega projects, how things get done, how much they overrun typically, how much to expect, how to not run into those issues. Main things were plan ahead. It was think fast, act slow. That was the theme he talked about multiple times, of planning out, starting with the end in mind, which is similar to what is it Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where they think about, where they start with the end and then just work backwards from there of how to get there. But he said, start with that in mind. What's your end goal? If your end goal is to have more people coming, there could be multiple ways of doing that. So building this big monument might not be the best to do that because you could have a lot of issues, or this railway could find other issues of building it and getting people here. But it was fine. You talked about how a lot of projects are fat-tailed, where my thought of it, so you have a normal distribution. At the end, if you have fat tails, that means the tails get bigger, and the mean of it, is that what it is? Yeah, the mean of it goes down, so it becomes closer to a normal distribution. He said a lot of projects have this fat tail distribution, but there are some that don't, which this is where the turn happened. He said, but the ones that don't are renewable energy projects. Solar energy, wind energy, whatever other kind there are. And he started making this huge push of climate change is happening. We need to get the temperature of the earth down this much. And these projects are the least fat-tailed, so you know what they cost. So we need to be doing more of those. Which I thought to myself, why are you making this huge push in this book? This book's about getting big things done, and all of a sudden this last chapter, you're trying to convince everyone about this climate change issue. What is going on with that? And this leaves people who agree with you are like, yeah, definitely do that. Wish I already thought that. And people who weren't were like, why is this in this book? I didn't get this book to learn about climate change. I got this book to learn about big projects. I'm not going to go out now and say, I read this book about climate change, about all these systems and how the projects is done. I'm going to go do that now. No. Why was that in the book? I understand it. So last chapter, if you're going to read that book, it's a decent book, not too long to read. Half the book is appendix/footnotes, which if you're not putting footnotes in the page that it's referencing, I'm not flipping back and forth between the two. If you're referencing something or adding a note to something, you can put it on that page. I don't have 2 bookmarks. I barely have 1 bookmark to go back and forth on that. Which, as I say that, book I'm reading now might need to do that. Because, okay, yeah. How am I going to go first? Okay, so when I read Aragon, I noticed after I read it that in the back of the book there was kind of a dictionary of words, which the words I was kind of skimmed past if I didn't know the words, or I just used the context of the words to figure out what it was. But reading now, I'm reading Dune. So it's been kind of confusing so far because I'm trying to remember what happened in the movie and remember what happened. But in the movie, I didn't know any of the names of the characters. You could ask me for any character's name. I wouldn't have known it. I knew like one planet, Dune, Arrakis. I think those are the same thing. But I've been trying to remember that. But then I remember the movie probably skips a bunch of things. So now I'm trying to forget the movie and just think about the book and what's going on. So I'm trying to think of, this is this part of the movie. This is this part of the movie, which might not be the case at all. They might have completely skipped over it. You might have completely skipped over it. There are like multiple Dune books, so I'm kind of confused by that, how they go together. And it's kind of referencing things that happen. Like in the future, like, oh, this is this trader. I was like, why? Why are you referencing this right now? I have no clue this is happening. But that's okay. It happens. Which, now I think about the trader part of it. That does happen. Well, I can think of just one instance where the Bible does that, where it talks about the disciples and it says Judas who betrayed Jesus, and you think, well, whoa, spoiler, I didn't know that happened. Jesus being betrayed isn't for like another couple chapters here. Why are you telling me this at the beginning of it? So I guess that's a valid way to do things. But in Dune, they have also a different thing in the back of the book where it says, where it also has dictionaries and words and what they mean. So maybe I do need to get a second bookmark and go on there. Because on Kindles and things, you can just press the word. It pulls up what it means. But I think that pulls up like the Merriam-Webster thing of it. I don't think it pulls up like if it's a made-up language. I don't think it'll translate to what it is. If it's a language specific to that area for it. Which, this is the second sci-fi book I've read, where at the beginning you're kind of confused because it tries to set up like this entire world with all these people and these different planets, and things are already happening. Because at the beginning of Dune, it's these houses are already at war. These planets are all over the place. These people don't like each other. These people are married. These people have a kid. You're kind of like, whoa, what's happening? Because if books are based on like Earth, you have like an idea of what's happening. You know, okay, Earth this year's old. If it's in the 1900s, you're like, okay, I have an idea of this. But science fiction, you're kind of thrown into it. So I read Ender's Game, which is also an older science fiction book. It kind of just like throws you in of these people are at war. They've won this many wars. These people are still fighting. This is how they're getting around it. And I was kind of overwhelmed. Like, I just started this book. What's happening? But reading Dune, I don't know, it's a longer book. Might take me a little bit, but it's fine for it. Because before Dune, I read Art of War by Sun Tzu. I don't know. TZU. No clue. Question myself every time I read it. How do I say this? It was not that great a book. It was okay. Glad I read it. Glad it wasn't too long. It's like 13 chapters, I think. Yeah, 13. Of, I don't know, just war type things. I couldn't recite them to you. You say like, oh, go to war. Like, be prepared beforehand. Try to win the war before going into battle. Don't siege a castle or like some enclosed area because it's very difficult and you'll get tired. And how to use spies, how to use fire, the cost of wars. He also talked about like where to fight a war. If you cross a river, don't camp out there. Get as far away from it. I didn't get a lot of it. I'm not too much into war strategy because one of the things for the book is, oh, it's this super old book. Like, a bunch of people keep using it. Like, army generals, world leaders have read this book and based their tactics on this. It wasn't that interesting to me. Maybe if I read it multiple times, applied them to something of, oh, I'm going into this war. Okay. Sun Tzu said to do this thing. But it's also like, what authority does this guy have on war? He's like general topics as applied everything. Similar to going to a fortune teller. Oh, you say this general platitude. I think that's the right word. You say this general statement and it could apply to so many things. Oh, you will have good fortune. Oh, I found $10 in my pocket. That's good fortune. So if you say like these general things, I guess it applied. But then I thought, how far back would I read a book? Which, Art of War, that was written in something BC. I don't know. So that's a pretty old book. Bible, yeah, read that one. But if there's a book from like the 1910s, I don't think I'm going to read that. 1920s, that'd be difficult. The oldest books I've read, like Dune, well, again, besides Bible and Art of War, but Dune, that's a pretty old book. Ender's Game, that's a pretty old book. I don't know how far back I'm going. I'm reading books from like the early 2000s. That's about it. Because I'm not reading new books because I'm not going out on a limb of, oh, I hope this book's good. I'm going to read this and it'll come up with the rest of them. Kind of like the watching series that are already over, like watching Suits. It was already over. They wrapped everything up. I knew it was good. I wasn't worried about like some big letdown of, oh, this isn't very good anymore. It was, I know this is good. Now I'll read it. Because I'm not too rushed. Got a whole list of books to read anyway. So I don't know how far back go for that. Because the other part of it is how far back will you go to watch a movie? If you're a big movie buff, you'll go back, black and white, silent films, watch those movies. Of who was that? I don't know. There's like one known actor everyone knows from like the silent films. Not Manson. That's a completely different thing. But there's some like silent actor guy. But if you're a regular person, regular movie enjoyer, where it's, I enjoy this movie. I like watching movies, but I'm not looking into who directed it. You're not a huge cinephile. How far back are you going to go? I'm not going to watch a black and white movie or a silent film. Some, if they are well-known, historic, like some people go back and listen to, what's the Christmas one there is. Some people watch that every year. It's a black and white movie. Okay, like that's a very well-known movie. People definitely enjoy it. But will you go back and watch other just regular run-of-the-mill movies? No, you watch movies that are made today, and if they're average run-of-the-mill, like, okay, well, I saw that movie. You're not going back to watching them. Because there were a bunch of people in my Bible study small group where they started going through a bunch of different movies and telling me, you should watch this one. Oh, but then you should also watch this one. And then watch this one. Well, I don't have time to watch all of these ones. And if you don't know the movies that I like, then I'm not going to fully trust the movies you're suggesting unless I've heard them independently of your suggestions. Because they suggest movies, well, they suggest like Godfather, other mob movies, which I kind of want to go back and watch anyway, but haven't had the time to yet. Then they suggested Donnie Darko. I don't know. I think I've heard of that movie. Not yet. Then they suggested Memento, Memento. That one I did watch because some of those movies, it's hard to find on one of the streaming services for free not for free, but one of the streaming services I already have. If they're on ones I don't have, then I might put those to the back of the list. Or if they cost me money to rent on Amazon, then I'm not going to rent it. Because maybe these movies aren't good enough to be on streaming services, so they're not good enough for me to watch. That could be it, but I watched that one. It was weird. I guess I'll spoil it. Movie made in the 2000s, I think. This guy, he has short-term memory loss from a hit he had, so he has short-term memory loss. But what they do is they start it at the end and then just work their way backwards. So the end, he kills this guy, and you're like, whoa, why'd he kill this guy? And then it goes backwards. Oh, because this lady told him this. Well, why'd she do that? Oh, because that guy did something to her. And it kind of goes backwards like that, and they splice in different moments of his life of before he had amnesia. So it's kind of like the two splices meeting together, because you'll see present time what happened, and then the beginning of his life before amnesia, and then like they keep taking steps towards each other until they finally meet in the middle. You're like, oh, that's why all this happened. Instead of just going through straight of, this was in before amnesia, this is it after. It's to kind of like splice things together. So that was cool to see. Glad I didn't pay for it, because there were things in the movie that I didn't pick up on. Things like what he was wearing, what he was driving. Because he walked into some bar and the bartender goes, "Whoa, you can't walk in here looking like that. This is just an average bar." He's like, I'm like, "Why? Just wearing like a regular looking suit. It's not anything crazy." Then a patron comes into the bar and they go, "Oh, whose car is that outside?" He's like, "Oh, it's mine." I was like, that just looks like a regular car. It doesn't look super nice or fancy, just like a regular car. So you kind of got to put yourself back of what was going on in that time, which, I don't know, I wasn't too familiar with what was happening then. I was kind of busy learning my ABCs and trying different foods out, so I didn't know too much about the nice cars and suits that were happening. But that was the general question of how far back will I watch a movie. I think 2000s, 1990s, that's getting a little far behind for it. Because I saw on TV they were playing, what were they playing? A Family Vacation? Was it National Lampoon's Family Vacation? Whatever it was. Because there's, wherever the movie series is that has Christmas Vacation in it, they were playing one of those. Which I haven't really watched the other ones because they go on other vacations. I think there's like a European vacation. I really didn't watch any of those. I'm not thinking to myself, do I want to go back and watch the series of that? Will I find it as funny? Because one of the things, the grandma's wearing some weird hat, weird sunglasses. Like that, well, again, things coming back in style. Maybe that lady's just, she looks like a modern time grandma dressing like that. If I walked down the street and I saw someone's grandma dressed like that, like, that looks pretty normal. So I guess that style has come back to it. But I don't know. It's a question I've had because I don't want to watch an average movie from 1970s. If I watch an average movie in 2025, yeah, that's fine. I don't feel as bad for doing that. But we'll see for it. Okay, well, that's all the topics I have today. Thank you for tuning in to my podcast. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow, DM, anything. It's pretty low bar, not too difficult. If you subscribe, don't listen to an episode, that's okay. It happens. If you follow, don't interact with my posts, it's still a follower. I'll take it. But yeah, thanks very much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.